In this video, we are going to write a first ever C++ code, okay? In this code, we are just going to print something on the screen. We are going to print a hello world message on the screen, okay? So let's quickly get started. Okay, now let me write a simple program which will basically display hello world on the screen, okay? So let me first write the program and then I will explain you each and every line of that program, and then we will execute that program with the help of G++ compiler, okay? So let me quickly get started and let me write the program. So let me start #include. So this was the auto completion feature I was talking about. See, when I'm writing IO, you can see I'm getting some options, right? And I can choose out of these options. So right now I want to use IOStream, so I can just click enter and this IOStream is getting selected. So this is auto completion feature. And how this auto completion feature is getting available in VS Code? This is because of the extension that we installed, that is C/C++ support for VS Code, okay? Then the next line is using okay, so now I have written a very simple hello world program, okay? Now what this program is going to do, it is just going to display hello world on the screen. So whenever we'll execute this program, it will display hello world on the screen. That's it. This is something this hello world program is doing, okay? Now let me explain you each and every line of this code. It is very easy, like coding is very easy, and that too in C++ is very easy. So let's quickly see what exactly each and every line of this code is doing. See, the first line is #include IOStream, okay? Now let me tell you what is this line. #include is for including a file, okay? So #include tells the compiler that I want to include a file. Now which file we want to include? So that file or name of that file is provided in the triangular braces, and name of that file is IOStream. So basically from this line we are telling the compiler that I want to include IOStream file in my program. Now the question is why we need to include IOStream file in our program. See, whenever we want to display something on the screen, that is called as output operation. Whenever we want to accept some input from the user, that is called as input operation, okay? So basically whenever we write a program, usually we do some input output operations, right? We take some input from the user, we can show some output on the screen. So these input output operations are actually supported by this IOStream file. So whenever in your program you have to do some input output related operation, you have to include this header file, okay? So this IOStream is called as a header file, and in order to use this header file in your program, you have to write #include in triangular bracket name of the header file. In this case it is IOStream. That's it. I mean, that's easy. So right now you can see in our program we have to display something on the screen. It is an output operation, right? So for the output operation as well, you have to include this IOStream header file, okay? Now the line number 2 is using namespace std. Now what this line exactly means, using namespace std. So if I explain you what this line does right now, then it is going to be little bit difficult for you to digest, okay? But trust me, we have a separate module for this concept that is called as namespace, okay? And in that module you will get a complete idea about what exactly is this namespace thing. But right now just try to understand. Let me just explain a raw definition to you. Just keep this definition in mind for now until we reach to the namespace module, and then when we reach to the namespace module you will get a clear idea about the namespaces, okay? So basically in this line what we are doing, we are telling the compiler that use namespace std. So we are saying using namespace std. That means we are instructing the compiler that use std namespace, okay? Now what is this namespace? See, namespace is a region, a small region, and for that small region we are giving some name. In this case the name for that small region is std. Now why we usually create namespaces? Okay, so let me explain it in a brief. I'm not going in much more detail right now. Just let me explain it in a very much I will say at high level, okay? So let's say you have a big region, a very huge region, and in that huge region let's say you have some elements, okay? So there is a chance that the elements get duplicated, okay? For that what we can do is we can distribute the big region into small regions, and these small regions are called as namespaces, okay? So this std is a name of a namespace, a small region, and that is std. That is also called as standard namespace, okay? So we are telling the compiler that use standard namespace. Now why we are using standard namespace? Because you can see in line number 6 we are using cout. Now this cout is an object. Okay, this cout is an object, and basically this is used to display something on the screen. Okay, so see, we are not going to go in detail about what is an object and what exactly is cout. So see, this is our very first code that we are writing for C++. So let's not go in so much detail about it. Let's look at it at very high level, and for now, until and unless we get a complete idea about what are exactly all these things, for now we'll just remember that this is the syntax that we have to follow. This is how we have to write the code. So in this way we will proceed with our first few codes of the C++. Okay, so basically this cout is responsible for displaying something on the screen, and this cout is actually contained inside this std namespace. Okay, so that is the reason you have to use this std namespace whenever you have to use cout. Okay, so I hope now you will keep this in mind, that whenever you have to use cout, you will have to use std namespace. Or the another statement I will give is, whenever you are using any header file, always you have to use std namespace, because all the elements which are present inside the header files are present inside the std namespace. Okay, right now maybe few things are going as a bouncer from your head, but don't worry, because everything is going to be clear. Just be patient, and then everything will be fine. Okay, because this is very first lecture, very first code of C++, but don't worry. Okay, now this line number 4 to line number 8, this is called as a function. So the very first function that we are writing in our code is called as main function. Now this main function is also called as an entry point function, because this is the function from which your code is going to start, or the execution of your code is going to start. So whenever you write your C++ code, this main function is something which you compulsory have to write. Okay, without the main function you can't really write a C++ code, or you can't really execute your C++ code. It is very essential to write this main function. Let's quickly see how we are writing this main function. We are writing int, followed by we are writing main, and then we are giving parentheses, open and close brackets. Okay, then we are giving curly braces, curly brace open and then curly brace close. See, this curly brace open and curly brace close indicates the body of the function. Okay, so this is the body of the main function. This int indicates the return type of the function. Right now let me not explain you what is the return type of the function, but right now just remember this int is a return type of the function. Okay, and then we are writing return 0. Okay, let me also not explain you why we are writing return 0 from here. Right now just remember that we have to write return 0 at the end of the main function. So whenever you write a main function, at the end of it you have to write return 0. Okay, then line number 6 is very important. In line number 6 what we are writing cout, then we are writing 2 left triangular braces, and then we are writing hello world in double quotes. Okay, so what this cout is going to do? This cout is basically an object which is actually used for displaying something on the screen. Okay, so what we are doing is we are asking cout, or we are telling the cout that to print this thing on the screen. Okay, print hello world on the screen. This /n is actually used for new line. Okay, so it's just like your enter key. Okay, so whenever you write one line and whenever you want to go to the next line, we press enter key on the keyboard. So in the programming we'll write /n for that. Okay, so we are asking the cout to display hello world on the screen and then go to the new line, to the next line. Okay, and how we are writing hello world, we are enclosing it in double quotes. So whenever there are multiple characters, we have to enclose it in double quotes. Now always remember, whenever we are writing any line, we are ending that line with semicolon. Okay, so this semicolon is very important in C++. Whenever you are writing any line, you have to end that line with semicolon. Okay, so as and when we will go ahead in this course, you will get a clear idea about what are exactly all these components of the program. But right now just try to remember that this is the way we have to write our C++ code. Okay, now let me show you how we can execute this code. Okay, let's see how we can execute this code so that this hello world is getting displayed on the screen. Okay, so for that let's open a terminal. Now as this VS Code is IDE, so there is an integrated terminal present inside this VS Code. Now let me quickly tell you what is this terminal. This terminal is similar to your command prompt. Okay, your command prompt where you type the commands, and these commands are basically commands to the operating system. So we can actually give command to the operating system to execute our code, and then operating system will execute our code, or it will get our code executed, right? So this VS Code has an inbuilt terminal. Okay, so how you can open the terminal in the VS Code? So here at the top you can see there is an option called as terminal. So you can click on new terminal. Okay, here you can see there's an option called as new terminal. So just click on that, and you can see at the bottom new terminal gets open. You can expand this terminal, just hover on this line and you can take it up so that this terminal gets expanded a little bit. Now I just want to clear my terminal. So there is some random stuff getting displayed. So I want to clear it. So just type a command called as clear, and this terminal will get cleared. Okay. Now the next thing that you have to do is we have to compile our .cpp code into a binary code. See, as we have discussed, C++ code cannot be directly executed by the machine or by the computer. We have to first convert it to binary, and for that conversion we have installed a tool called as compiler. Okay, so let's first compile our code. So for that, for compiling our code, we have to fire a command. Let's focus on this command. So the command is, you have to write G++ followed by, you have to write name of your file. Okay, so name of my file is hello.cpp. See, what is the command? You have to write G++ space name of your file. What is the name of your file? Name of your file is hello.cpp, and then just click enter. Okay, cool. So if the file gets compiled successfully, if the compiler compiles it very successfully, then in that case, whenever you will type this command, you will get the next command option or next command prompt. Okay, and you can see in the CPP codes folder, this is the new file which is getting created, that is a.exe. So this a.exe was earlier not there in this folder, and now this a.exe file is getting created, and this is the executable file. Just like your see, whenever we download anything, whenever we download any installer, that is just an executable file. Similar to that, this a.exe is our executable file, and we can execute this executable file. Okay, so this is the process called as compilation. What we are doing, we are telling G++ to convert our .cpp file into an executable file, and the compiler is doing that. Okay, and the name of the output file or name of the executable file that we are getting is a.exe. Okay, now there is one thing. If you are getting an error, something like G++ is not recognized, or whenever you are typing G++ hello.cpp, you are getting an error like that, so in that case just restart your machine. Okay, because what happens is we just completed our installation. So if you are immediately opening VS Code and immediately using G++ inside the Visual Studio Code's terminal, then sometimes the Visual Studio Code has problems of identifying what is G++. Okay, so in that case, if you are getting such kind of error, you can just restart your machine and then just try out this command once again. Okay, but if you are not getting any error, then we are good. Okay, so G++, we have got our executable file, and now it's time to execute our executable file. See, G++, what it is doing, it is just giving us the executable file. It is not going to execute it by default. Now we have to execute this file. Now to execute this file, what we have to do is we have to type a next command, that is ./a.exe. See, in case of Linux, this is going to be a forward slash. Okay, so in case of Linux, the command is going to be ./a. In Linux, name of the output file is a.out. Okay, so in Linux you have to write ./a.out. In Windows you have to write ./a.exe. Okay, so if you are a Linux user, then that is the command for you, ./a.out. Okay, if you are a Windows user, then the command is ./a.exe. Just click on enter. You can see that on the screen hello world is getting printed. Isn't that awesome? So we just created our first code, and in the first code we displayed hello world on the screen. So let's quickly revise this code. What is the name of the header file? Name of the header file is IOStream. Why we are including this header file? Because we want to use cout. Why the cout is used? Cout is used for displaying something on the screen. So the first line indicates we have to include a header file. So whenever you are using cout, you have to use these double triangular braces. Okay, and after double triangular braces, you have to put the data whichever you want to display on the screen in double quotes. Okay, and once you do that, basically your characters will be displayed on the screen. Now this thing is called as main function. So main function is also called as entry point of your program. So that is the point from which your program will start execution, okay? And then we always have to write this line, that is using namespace std. See, if I don't write this line, let's see what will happen. See, if I remove this line and if I'll compile this file again, yeah, one more important point, whenever you make any changes in your code file, whenever you make any changes in your .cpp file, you have to always recompile it, okay? So if I am now compiling, you can see that we are getting an error, that is cout was not declared in this scope, okay? So why this is happening? As I said, this cout is actually present inside std namespace, okay? And that's why we have to use std namespace. So writing this line is very essential. See, if you don't want to write this line, then there is one more option, but that option is not so good. So you can also write, instead of cout, you can also write std : cout. Okay, and this will also work, okay? But every time, say, let's say you have to do cout 10 times in a file. So every time writing std : in front of cout is going to be a tedious job. That's why it's better to write a single line, that is called using namespace std. And as I said, we are going to discuss about all these different syntaxes as and when we will go ahead in the C++ course. So, I mean, I hope you got all the things that we have covered in this video. Now, the next step for you is you do all the installation on your machine, open your Visual Studio Code, type the same code on your machine and just try to execute this code. And then you also try to do some modifications over here, okay? So instead of hello world, just try to print hello India or hello America, okay? Just try to do some random things. Try to remove few lines from the code and see what is happening. Try to remove some lines which you feel are of no use, okay, right now, as per your understanding, and then see what we get as the result, okay? Just try to recompile the code every time you are making any changes.